but she takes it down a rabbit hole, then we have to go down the rabbit hole. So here's my argument. Let's start with defining these terms. Can we do that?
Sure, yes.
So I define feminism, okay, as being a movement towards egalitarianism or equity, okay, with the stated goal of diminishing and eventually destroying patriarchal systems.
Sure.
That seems to be fairly historically accurate and modernly accurate.
Yes. Movement towards equity, goal of eliminating patriarchal systems?
Yes.
Okay, I'll take it.
Okay, so when I say the word going forward enforcer, what I mean by that word is people who utilize inside of society some form of force or in order to either execute laws.
A great point, Johnny. You have a great point. What she's saying is her grandma's not agreeing with her, so she's getting the wrong info. Just pretty much that's what it is. I don't know if you guys saw the video about the lady, this liberal, that she went to her grandpa and basically blasted him through TikTok. And she was a blue hair, pink, whatever, Caucasian lady. And saying that, oh man, she was crazy. She just went off the cuff telling him that he was, undermining my future or whatever. That's what it is. Like, you don't agree with me, so you're dumb. Instead of taking some humility, say, okay, the grandma lived in this world for more years than I have so far. Maybe I should just learn a couple things from her. But they cannot see it like that. It requires humility.
Or keep people safe in some capacity. That would be an enforcer. Okay? So my argument here is that men, ultimately, are the enforcement arm of everybody's rights, including other men's, and that women always have to appeal to other men, and so they can't actually get rid of the patriarchy, but must instead comply with the patriarchy.
Okay.
That's my argument.
Sure.
Sign
Do you want to
language
repeat
again.
that for me just so I can take a little note?
Yeah, that women, basically feminists always have to appeal to the patriarchy for rights no matter what, and so feminism isn't even possible. It's not even a possibility.
Okay. Appeal to patriarchy for it. Okay. So can I ask, do you believe that free will is a privilege? Or a right or a privilege? Do you believe free will is a right or a privilege?
Does free will just mean do whatever you want?
Yeah, basically. Yeah, basically. That's what it is. Like, it's just these people are very incongruent with their message.
To the extent that you're not hurting yourself or others or becoming a danger to society.
Well, then, yeah, it sure sounds like you're saying it is.
I'm sorry, what?
Then it would be trivially true that it would have to be, if you're saying that that means you can do whatever you want unless A, B, C, and D, then it would have to be a privilege.
Well, okay. So free will, as I'm defining it, is the right to do with you what you want so long as you are not infringing upon another's free will.
Then it would trivially have to be a privilege.
It would have to be a privilege.
Yeah.
By that logic, there would be no way around it. It would have to be a privilege.
Why would it have to be a privilege?
Well, because the second you do infringe on someone's whatever, right?
Yeah.
Do you have free will?
Well, yes, to an extent. Okay, so free will with some limitations. Let's say, is free will with the limitation?
Then it's not free will.
Well, what do you want to call it, Andrew?
I mean, I would just maybe will.
Okay. Do you think that human will is a right or a privilege?
I'm not.
Yeah, that's a weird one.
Trying to figure out what you mean by this. Human will.
Like, do you think that we, as a society...
How about maybe I can just do it this way? I don't.
Exactly. They confuse themselves for the show. Yeah. Her job was not to argue with Andrew. The job of a lot of these feminists is not really to go back and forth for the truth, guys. I don't think that's the idea here, or the end goal. The end goal here is the virtual signal, right? And get as much as they can just to put their victim card through their platform and get whatever 30 seconds clip that they want. See, wanting the truth is more like a male-centric purview. It's a more, because it requires logic, and men tend to be very, very, very upset if we don't deal with the truth. Okay, so I don't think you're right. I think this is more to confuse themselves throughout the show. It's like being with God and the devil at the same time. It's a weird thing. They do them all the time. They do
Believe
that all the
human
time.
beings have inherent rights.
Okay. Thank you. There we go. Human beings have no inherent rights.
Yeah, correct. I think instead, what we call rights are actually just collective intuitions, which are
Yep.
appealed to force, and then force enforces them.
Okay, so all law, are you trying to say that basically all laws are enforced through force, or just
Yeah,
like
yeah. So
generally?
all laws ultimately.
All laws are enforced by force. Okay.
Yeah. So if you think about this, the way that I would say is like, do you agree with me that rights themselves are a social construction?
Yeah.
I mean, not really.
So my right to own a gun is not a social construction?
Yeah, but I'm talking about free will, not like human, like. You
What
know.
is that? Well, I don't understand though. Like you being able to act in will, I wouldn't dispute with. Like you
Yes,
can.
that's what I'm saying.
You can take actions with your will, but when you say rights, you're saying that those are privileges absent duties. That's a
Okay.
right, and then a duty, right, would be
You're saying that our rights are universal, but the question is, Wacko. The question is, do right really exist as a concrete concept? Can you grab them? Let me know.
essentially the opposite of what a right is, right?
Yes.
Okay, so these privileges that you're talking about, I think if that's what a right is, a privilege absent a duty, then they all seem like they're privileges.
Yep,
Okay, but like you don't think that.
Johnny, you're right.
I guess my issue with this argument is that it's claiming that power is based solely on force.
Yes.
Which to me seems like it's advocating on behalf of violence
I mean,
in order to enforce
in a
and
wo-
maintain.
Well, yeah,
Well, we need
that's-
it.
That's what force would be. Raw force would be violence.
Okay.
So that's what it does. Like we advocate that police be able to use violence in order to enforce laws, right?
But we would prefer that they avoid it, right?
Yeah,
Like
but
in-
ultimately, what makes people comply? The threat of violence, right?
But
Correct.
there are other ways to get people to comply, no?
Yeah, but what if they don't?
Well, I mean, yes, but I feel like that's a bit of an extreme. Like,
No, it's not.
No,
a bit of an
no, it
extreme
happens
that
all the
people
time.
don't comply.
but how does
It
the
happens.
president-
It happens all the time. It does happens all the time, guys. It literally happens all the time, and we see them. Police confrontations, right? Judges finalizing a rule. They need the police. Some, people that are getting sentenced, they don't like the result. They just want to attack the police or the judges, and we see this all the time.
have power? He can't threaten violence against
That's
every
all he
single
does. He is
member.
the commander in chief of the United States military.
But he can't threaten and so basically, you believe that we function in a society solely because if we don't, we will be violently hurt by the military.
What? No,
I don't-
I
that's
believe
not
that
what he said.
that all of your privileges that you have in society that you're calling rights only actually exist because of force, the idea of force and force doctrine.
So, Waka, you see the simple rights are tangible. What are those? What are those rights that are tangible? That I can just go there and just grab them. Let me know.
And that is basically 100% men
Complex
who
rights are
provide
social
that.
construct.
Okay, so you're
guess
kind
so.
of giving this like might makes right argument.
Just makes, not makes right.
So just might is right.
No, just makes, not makes right. Right would be a prescriptive ought claim for morality. I'm making a descriptive claim, which is that descriptively might makes.
So do you not believe that violence is immoral?
No,
Of course not.
No,
Depends
it's
on the
not.
circumstance.
no.
You generally just don't believe that violence
This
is immoral.
and this
It
is the
depends on the
clear. I'm
circumstance.
sorry, they have to stop this. This is the clear distinction between the man perception of reality and the woman perception of reality. Right here, she thinks out of the gate, violence is wrong. Andrew, on the other hand, thinks what? violence is not wrong. You see what I'm saying?
Stance.
I mean, violence in an attempt to control others and usurp
Again,
their
that depends on
ability.
the circumstance. I think there's plenty of times where you and I would agree that using violence to control others is totally acceptable.
I feel like violence is necessary in self-defense and the
No, you
defense
don't.
of
You think that
someone else.
violence is completely acceptable to control prison inmates, probably to execute certain laws
She
and
didn't
search
listen.
warrants, to do all sorts of things.
That's
Violence is necessary.
Agitated.
Again, those are both actions in self-defense or
I
defense
don't know
of
what you're
others.
talking about.
How is that?
If
when
two
you say-
inmates are fighting,
when you're
and you're
saying
trying to
using
break up that fight so that one of them
violence
doesn't die,
but it's violence to
that would
control
be-
others, right?
but it would be in defense of others.
Yeah, but it's still to control others.
It's in defense of others.
Okay,
though.
what if those people, like inmates, don't want to be defended?
So that's what we're talking about. Well, I mean, if someone is beating another person to death, I'm sure that the person
If
who's
it's mutual
dying,
combat, they both want to do it. The guards then go and break it up. They're
They want
definitely
to
using
die?
violence for control. Not die, but fight.
Okay, but if someone is beating someone else to death, and you are
Yeah,
using
but that's
violence
not.
to prevent
See,
that, then
you
you're
see
using
how
violence.
you negate the claim, so you move to the next claim. Can
not
two
negating
people
the claim.
be fighting?
Oh, I see. She reminds me of my FEMA. Can I say that word? College professor giving as to minorities, especially the okay, and demeaning ideas of okay. I see. So she reminds you of that professor that she would basically undermine the Caucasians. And as in Korean, it happens all the time, man. It happens all the time. And remember, they're not there for the truth. This is what a lot of people have to understand. They're not here for the truth, and they're not here to just feel some kind of empathy towards men. They're not here for that, guys. They're here to get as much as possible from men, without the accountability aspect.
And then you use violence to break that up.
Yes,
Okay, great. So then you can use violence to control people, and it's perfectly acceptable.
it's not acceptable though because it's the reason.
Hey,
it's
there we
acceptable
go.
is because
Yes.
it's in defense.
Yeah, EOD 696. Yeah, Jesse Lee Pearson. Yep. Yeah, you're right. He talks about this all the time.
Of another person.
Those people want to fight. Who are you defending?
If one of them is dying or if one of them is
One
very
of them
badly
is not
hurt,
dying. They
you are
just
defending.
want to fight. They're not dying, but they just want to fight.
Okay, sure. So two prison inmates. But again, you're using these like really, really, really stringently specific.
Yeah,
No, they're
because if we
They're
go
not.
too broad and too general, then if we hone it down, then I can negate your stance because what you're saying doesn't actually make logical sense.
But you're honing it down to a specific example
Mm-hmm.
that is not representative of the entire population of the United States. I feel like we should use an example
What
that
is
less-
representative of the entire population of the
Not
United
two
States?
prisoners who choose to fight to the death.
Well, what
I mean,
is?
that's the furthest thing
No,
from
no,
the
but
truth.
when you make a claim, you make this claim. You say, Andrew, violence is only just, or violence isn't justified to control groups of people. And I'm like, yeah, but you don't really believe that because I can give you examples of groups of people who you would want to control with violence and you think it's totally acceptable. And you're like, yeah, that's true.
Well, those people have
But
lost the
hang
right
on,
to
but
free
hang
will
on.
by committing
But
a
hang
crime.
on, you go, yeah.
Good point, Wackoman. You're saying that tangible rights, right to ownership, tangible rights are the simplest form of right that involve ownership or interest in physical assets, right? Good point. Now the question is, who protects those rights? How do you protect those rights? How do you protect the right to ownership, right? That's the question. How do you protect that? And who determines that? And who determines that that's a right?
Yeah, that's true. But, right, I still now don't want to use that example. It's like, that makes no sense. It's a refutation to your position. That's why I hone in on it.
Okay, so people, we know this through the Constitution, essentially relinquish their right to free will by threatening the free will of others. That's why prisoners are allowed to go to jail, and that is constitutionally accepted. Yes.
Say that. Let me make sure I got that right. Say that again.
People essentially relinquish their right to free will, the right to walk around and be free in society as a prisoner, because they have committed a crime that is a danger to themselves or others and threatens
That's
the
incorrect.
fabric of society. So why do people go to jail? Why are crimes crimes? Why are things that are bad?
People
bad?
go to jail because we force them into jail after they commit crimes, not because they're willingly going to jail for
I
their
understand that they're
crimes.
not willingly going to jail, but what I'm saying is the forced relinquishment of free will in this instance is morally acceptable because they have committed a crime that threatens themselves or
Yeah,
others.
I don't know
I'm
what
not
you're saying, bro.
disputing whether or not
I don't
it's
know what you're
moral.
saying.
That would make my point for me, though.
So I'm not trying to talk about those who have already had their free will relinquished on the basis that they have committed a crime that threatens themselves or others. I'm trying to talk about people who are not criminals, who have not relinquished their free will, who are here in this country and deserve the right to choose what they do with themselves and their bodies. Now,
Okay. Well, I mean,
back
you're making a
to-
lot of suppositions there that I just kind of like don't agree with.